So, experimental research design. What is experimental research design? Is a framework or protocols in a procedures created to conduct experimental research with a scientific approach using two sets of variables. Herein, the first set of variables acts as a constant used to measure the differences of the second set. The best example of experimental research method is a quantitative research. So, if open the final form of the study conducted in the research process, which is considered to provide conclusion and specific result, helps our researchers gather the necessary data for making better research decision and determining the facts of a research study, according to Cella 2023. So, in experimental research design, there is a three types of experimental research. We have pre-experimental research design, through experimental research design, and quasi-experimental research design. So, what is pre-experimental research design? Based on the methods used to collect data in experimental studies, the experimental research design are of three primary types. So, a research study could conduct pre-experimental research design when a group of many groups are under observation after implementing factors of cause and effect of the research. The pre-experimental design will help researchers understand whether further investigation is necessary for the groups under observation. And pre-experimental research is of three types: one-shot case study research design, and one group pre-test, post-test research design, and static group comparison. And number two is the true experimental research design is a design relies on a statistical analysis to prove or disprove a researcher's hypothesis, and it is also one of the most accurate forms of all of the types of experimental designs. Only only a true experimental design can establish a cause and effect relationship within a group. However, in a true experiment, a researcher must satisfy these three factors. There are a control group that is not subjected to changes and an experimental group that will experience the change variables, and a variable that can be manipulated by the researchers. Random distribution of the variables, and this type of experimental research is commonly observed in the physical sciences. Then the third one is a quasi-experimental research design. The word quasi means similarity. So, quasi-experimental design is similar to the true experimental design. However, the difference between the two is the assignment of the control group. In this research design, an independent variable is manipulated, but the participants of a group are not randomly assigned. These types of research design is used in field setting where random assignment is either irrelevant or not required. So the classification of the research subjects, conditions, or groups determines the type of research design to be used. Then when can be conduct experimental research? If a researchers conduct in experimental research in the following situation, when time is an important factor in establishing a relationship between the cause and effect, And when there is an invariable or never-changing behavior between the cause and effect. And finally, when the researcher wishes to understand the importance of the cause and effect. So the importance of cause and effect research design is to establish significant result. Choosing a quality research design forms the foundation to build the research study, and it helps establish quality decision making procedures, structures the research to lead to easier data analysis, and addresses the main research question. And it is essential to cater undivided attention and time to create an experimental research design before beginning the practical experiment. And a researcher is also giving oneself time to organize the research, set up relevant boundaries for the study, and increase the reliability of the result. So this design is a framework of uh, procedures created to conduct an experimental research with an academic approach using two sets of variables. So, like for example, um, first variable acts a constant and used to measure a differences then of the second set. Then the best example of experimental research method is a quantitative research. So quantitative research, it helps researchers to gather a necessary data for making better research decisions and determining the facts of the research study, and also determining the cause and effect of that study. if uh, if that study is reliable, and also if that also the foundation to build the research study is effective to helps to establish the quality in decision making, the procedures, and to framework of the structures that the research to lead in easier data analysis, and to address the main research question, and to answer the main research questions for an essential to cater an undivided attention and time to create an experimental research design before the beginning of the practical experiment. So this design is giving oneself to organize, to set up irrelevant boundaries to increase reliability of the results, and it is also uh, reflect on the quality of the results derived. Then so quasi-experimental research is part of experimental research, and quasi means similarity. So similarity but not actually the same. So this design is manipulated, but uh, used in a field setting where a random assignment is either irrelevant or not required. So this design has a stronger hold over a variables to obtain result, and subjects does not impact the effectiveness of experimental research, and the results are a specific, and the research findings from same dataset can be repurposed for similar research ideas. So this design makes an ideal starting point, and it is also the collected data could be used as a foundation to build new research ideas for further studies.